guys.
Come on, Dan.
Oh, hey, we're live.
All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of Old Carver Fishing Podcast. Today we got a good one for you. It's going to be Ben Blegen, and he is a 8-time NAIFC qualifier champion. We got myself, Scott Goodyman, Tara Lindsay, Luke Hinches, Danny Two Cats, Chewy.
Chewy.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think about that, Luke? What
About
do you-
what?
out of 5? Scotty's
Like a
intro.
1.5.
This is his
Yeah.
first one.
I like
It's his
that.
first one.
I really,
And, sorry,
really-
Ben. I had
No,
to.
we're proud.
Sorry,
All
I had to
right,
be you,
this
Ben.
is Old Carver Fishing.
Why the hell didn't
We're
you do
proud
it?
of him.
We got Ben from the U.S. fishing team,
Oh,
All right, Dan.
and already we got stuff going exciting.
Good one,
Here we
Scotty.
go.
We love you, Scotty.
Welcome,
We
Ben.
love you.
Get Ben on before he loses his stuff.
Get him
Yep.
another one because he's gonna need it.
Right.
All right, man. So what's up with that? You got a new YouTube video out.
I did. I put one out today at 5 o'clock Central. Flathead video. It's my biggest of the year, actually. My biggest flathead.
Oh, true story. So some guys were asking me from when I went to the bar. Well, I went to Lisa's across the street. They asked me who those guys were that showed up in that truck
Whose
and that big
phones?
boat. Want to tell them who that is?
In this.
Yeah, I had I brought 3 of the Minnesota Vikings linemen out.
It's
They were
casual.
large human beings.
They were
Yeah.
very large human beings.
And not to mention the bar across the street is a huge Vikings bar.
It is.
And I took some of the starters out, and people were like, "Oh, did you take the practice squad?" I was like, "Oh no, I took the big boys out."
But they were looking at him. We were outside, and I told them, "Why don't you guys come inside the store?" Because they were
Yeah.
walking out. They're looking at him. I'm pretty sure they figured out.
Well, they're driving
somebody. They knew
they're
there was
driving a
somebody.
$120,000 truck,
Yeah.
and they're giant humans. Obviously, they probably play football.
Luke messaged me and said, "Hey, keep everything you catch. Boys want to have a meat run."
Yeah. Yeah, they got some channel cats to take home, so they were really happy.
Nothing wrong with the good old fashioned meat
No.
run.
And they haven't fished late enough really to get into the flats, but we're gonna go out again. I'm gonna still talk to them every day, pretty much. So
Well, I
So,
got some fish in my freezer.
we'll get
you
'em
can
out.
give them, and you can throw the flatheads back. Maybe.
yeah, they just want to catch big flat. And they said, and I was like, well, we're probably gonna let go if we get a really big flat. Like, what do you mean? That's just more fish. I was like, yeah, we kind of like to release the big ones, but if they said we're taking it home, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
No,
man?
you can't say no.
Okay.
Throw them out of your boat.
You can take it home.
Yeah.
can
Would you
take
like
it.
me to fillet this?
Yeah,
for
I can
you?
fillet. Let me fillet this 40-pound flathead.
You ever done that?
No.
Oh, there's a lot of meat there.
I'm sure. I filleted like a 20 once because I gut hooked it, or I was bleeding horribly, and I just killed it. But it was a lot of meat, and it was delicious too.
I had the same. I
Oh.
was all the way down in that place where you can never get a hook out of.
I got a trick for you.
Yeah.
Stick your hand right there.
You gotta stick it into the stomach, push it into the stomach, stick your hand into the stomach. You cup the hook and pull your hand out of the stomach with the hook. That's the way. That's how you get it out from behind the gullet.
You wouldn't hurt him.
So you just pull
You
everything.
push
in
it through with your fingers,
and then close it.
then stick your whole hand in the stomach. You grab the hook, and then
like with your grab the hook.
you
on
pretty
your
much
way
poke it through with your fingers because
Yeah.
it's hooked behind the gullet.
in. Yeah.
Poke the circle of the hook, poke it into the stomach,
Yeah.
grab the hook, stick your hand all the way into your stomach. You're like half forearm deep in the stomach. And
Okay.
you grab the hook, cup it with your hand, and then pull your hand out with the hook. Works.
It'll be okay.
Some people have reactions to their stomach enzymes, but yeah, it's fine. They have to be pretty big to do it.
Cutting it.
Yeah, you could cut it, but
Yeah,
they have to be pretty big to stick your hand in there.
Does cutting it hurt it?
No, they'll
Yeah.
crap.
So
I'm not-
I've done the right thing about 99% of
Yeah.
the time. There was one thing I was like, I knew that thing was gonna die.
I make sure they're big enough before I do that because
Skim 'em.
they'll wreck your arm if they decide to bite down while you're doing it.
Yeah. That'd have to be like a 30-40 pounder.
Yeah, like
Before you could even
30-pound.
even think about
Yeah,
like
30 pounders kind of like the low end when you want to start doing it. But
okay.
your whole arm will go right
This
in there.
is PG-13.
Anyways.
But you wouldn't hurt the fish, though. That's what
No,
I'm asking.
no,
You wouldn't
no.
hurt the fish at all.
Dude, they eat way bigger stuff than your arm. you
Yeah,
know?
there was
All right.
a Facebook group and for catfishing
I
in
gotta
El
go.
Paso. somebody showed a video of him releasing a flathead. I don't think it was very big, maybe 15 pounds, but it was just bleeding, and he got crushed and told. So one of the guys actually is going to start a new group for beginners to teach them the release, when to release, when not to release, all that stuff. So
Oh, that's
just
a
based
good
on that
idea.
video. So I took a snapshot of it, but I'll announce it in the next podcast.
You made a
But,
group for that?
He's gonna make a group just strictly for beginners, rigs, just advice,
Ooh, I
straight
love
advice,
that.
how to release the fish when
Yeah.
you're not gonna release the fish anymore, which was that situation now.
Yeah. Safe handling videos are
Because
good
he did
too.
have some bigger fish on the stringer, but he released down.
Yeah.
It's not gonna survive.
Yeah,
Not from what I saw in the
definitely not.
video. But Scotty, we got great guest today.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
do. Mr.
Red,
Ben
white, and
Blegen.
blue.
Ben Blegen.
Let's bring him on.
The
Bring
one,
him on.
the one and only.
There we
Bring him on.
go.
There he is.
There he is.
Yes.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Slowly but
Yeah.
surely.
This is really
Sorry
strange.
it
Thanks
took
for
so long.
listening to all this
And
nonsense.
I want to apologize to the viewers that the delay was most definitely my fault. I tried my best to fix it, but just couldn't do
And
it.
he's not just saying that; it was 100% his fault.
100% my
Yeah.
fault.
He's
time
a
it was
big guy,
100%
not
my
a
fault.
computer guy. We'll deal
But
with
these
it.
guys don't have to be anywhere till around 9 o'clock, so we're good.
Yeah, something like that.
Just gonna smack you up.
Time's the kitchen closed. That's the question.
Oh, before tacos.
I gotta get out before the
I was hoping
before
that,
the catfish start running.
I was hoping that Ben was gonna be here live. We're gonna take him down for some tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah. that'd be- Where are you from, Ben?
Oh yeah, from Malacca, Minnesota. So
Oh,
a little
nice.
ways from you guys.
Yeah.
Probably about an hour and 15 minutes north. It not too far. I'd love to been in
No.
the studio. Today's schedule just didn't work out that way. So, but we're here now, and we got a lot of awesome stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we
Some
do.
real exciting stuff. So I'm pretty excited to get started.
I'm too.
Let's get started. I think Scott's got a bunch of stuff, but just let's get started by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from originally, kind of where you grew up, and when you started fishing.
Yeah. Well, I originally grew up not too far from Malacca, Minnesota, in a town pretty much most everybody's heard of, Elk River, Minnesota. So grew up there, went to high school actually in Osseo, open enrolled, played hockey through high school, some baseball, and didn't really start fishing. I've been fishing, for my whole life, but I really didn't start competitive fishing or tournament fishing until about 07, 08. So, and I started ice fishing with the North American Ice Fishing Circuit. I did a couple smaller, a little smaller tournaments, some derbies and things like that. And I did all right. And I thought, well, why not just, go all in and jump in the pool. And so I said, heck, got a teammate, and we started fishing the North American Ice Fishing Circuit. And it pretty much, my fishing career took off after that. Yeah, wasn't very good to start with, but nonetheless,
I've heard those first few years, you pay for a lot of knowledge in a lot of them leagues.
You do, and that's the thing about fishing, and about the sport in general. And I'll tell anybody this 100,000 times over, is that when you get into the sport, or you're in the sport, fishermen, tournament fishermen, and pretty much a lot of people who fish, the whole community is just amazing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, especially at the pro level, that are so welcoming and so warm. It's just an easy sport to really get to talk to people and really get involved in pretty quick and cut down that learning curve. There isn't any part of the sport, whether it's saltwater, freshwater, fly, that people, anybody that I've run into that that they've just been amazing people. And the sport of fishing in general just really somehow, one way or another, just really encompasses those people and makes it, what you're doing out there, cuts that learning curve down pretty quick. And so, so we started doing that after a couple of years. I have a competitive edge, and that comes from me playing hockey. And so, wanted to learn more, and you do that just by studying, talking to people, watching what, the best of the best are doing, listening to podcasts, reading books, even Googling on the internet. I did that for a few years, and, started to grow, and kind of, start achieving one thing and then achieving another. And eventually it just kept going, and now I'm really into it. Pretty deep. So
Yeah.
I don't think I can get out. at this point.
I just
But,
don't know how
I
you
don't-
have enough time.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know how you have enough time.
That's a lot
Ugh,
of.
I don't. Sometimes I don't know either. I own a business, and so that takes up what time fishing doesn't. So I really do. Between that and fishing and getting ready for everything that I'm doing and in the industry and around the world, it's pretty time consuming. But you know what? I love doing it. So to me, it's not work. It's just an amazing thing. It's an amazing opportunity. And some of the things I'll be able to talk about this evening, are just kind of mind blowing. And being able to have the opportunity to do this and experience this, and some of the stories I'll tell you guys, it's just it's a really special thing. And it's not just me. One of the cool things I'll get into too is the ability for everybody watching to be able to get into competitive fishing, to get into world fishing. And I know it sounds bigger than life, but it's not. It really is right now pretty simple. It's it's just a matter of listening to what we're doing, listening to what I'm saying, and it's going to be pretty informative.
Nice.
Oh.
Have you where are you guys standing at in the aim right now?
Right now, me and my tournament partner, we're in fourth place for Team of the Year in North
Nice.
Dakota. So we've got 2 more events left, and walleye fishing, I just started doing it on the pro circuit a few years ago. Actually, during the start of COVID really opened up a little bit of my schedule, because obviously not a lot of people were traveling. There wasn't a lot going on in other countries. So I decided to really just kind of jump into that. I've always walleye fished, winter and summer. And so I got my tournament partner, Sean Hennings, and we decided to make a go at it. And this year we seem to be, things seem to be clicking out there. And we got 2 more events left on Devil's Lake, and my tournament partner, Sean, really knows that really well. And we'll pick that lake apart and see what we can't do and where we can't come out of, and, see if we can't come out on top. It's always a grind. Every day is different. You can never predict the future. It's fishing, and you can only hope for the best, and just run on the knowledge that you have and go from there. But I'm pretty excited about it. So, anytime, you do well, and anytime, it's, something like this, it's always exciting. It's really what keeps you going, keeps your drive going. So it's, it's a lot of fun, a lot of work, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Ben, what's AIM for those that?
Yeah.
No.
AIM is a pro walleye series. They have different sections per se. So they got a North Dakota divisions, I should say. They got a North Dakota division, they've got a Minnesota division, Wisconsin division. And so what they do is you select a division. You can fish all 3 divisions if you want, if you have time. But you go ahead and fish those divisions. They have about 4 tournaments every year in each one of those states. And then once those 4 are completed, then they have a state tournament. And then if you do well in the state tournament in each one of those 3 states, then you move on to the national tournament, and that's next year. So if you do well, you can go all the way to the national tournament. So
How is that compared to the MWT?
the MWT has a little bit, little bigger sponsorships, a little bit, excuse me, a little better payout. So, and the MWT also is 1 angler. These are 2 sets of anglers. So, you've got a team partner, you're team fishing versus, single fishing.
Yeah.
So, but as far as that's concerned, it's the same, it's the same thing. It's just what do you prefer? Do you prefer to fish, walleye tournament fish by yourself, which has its own set of skills, versus somebody, else in your boat too. So it's just the same level, different format. Some people prefer one format over the other.
No. Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's keeps you busy either way. But it's walleye fishing is kind of one of those things where, like I said, 4 years ago, I really wanted to get into the tournament aspect of it. Just because it also, everything I do here in the United States also leads to, a lot of the things and a lot of the fish I fish overseas as well. So, walleye is real close to a family member of a different species in Europe, Zander. And so, being able to practice walleye here in the United States at, a professional level, really sets you up and gets you going, for when you're over there fishing, representing the United States, in a world competition. And so I feel like, it's a real good thing for me to, not just fish world events or just fish in other countries, fish here and there and be able to, use the information and things I learn and my practice and my skills, go back and forth. And it really helps out. It does.
And we're gonna get into a little bit of fishing. How much you fished all over the world, but first I know you talked about Xander. Did you see that Xander that was just caught out in North Dakota?
Yeah. So, every so often, once a year, maybe once every 2 years, there's a lake out there that actually, obviously, Xander is not native to the United States,
Yeah.
but definitely not native to North Dakota. So those were stocked in there. I believe that lake, they were stocked in that lake decades ago.
There's two lakes now.
Is it 2 lakes now?
Well,
Okay.
because it flooded over the basin now, and the other lake filled up with Xander. So the other lake's actually better now than. We don't have to say the name of the lake, obviously, but
Right.
the second lake now is actually better than the one they originally in because it's less pressured. But now that all these target walleye, and then you got like my buddy Brett McComas does target walleye, and
Okay.
he was just talking about that 33.5-inch Xander that was just caught out there, and that's the only like you said, that's the only place in North America where you can catch a Xander is those 2 lakes in North Dakota, and it's pretty cool.
Yep.
There was kind of an experiment the DNR did.
That's pretty
And
cool.
I don't know, it's cool. It's really neat.
It is. And
You've
it
caught
is.
sorry.
Oh, I'm
Is it-
sorry. I didn't mean to walk over
You've
you.
caught
It is-
Xander in Europe?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And for people that don't know the difference between Xander and walleye, visually they're just about almost identical. The only difference is that Xander has a different strain of DNA, allowing the typical size fish. You have a 3-year-old walleye, a 3-year-old Xander. Typically, because of the DNA strain, the Xander is going to be heavier, bigger, and longer. So, but like we all know, it all depends on forage, what they're eating, stress, things like that. But typically they are much bigger, and they do get much bigger on the top end too as well. So they can get pretty big over there, pretty big. But when it comes to fighting them, they fight just like walleye here. It's pretty much exactly the same thing.
You can find those in the Minnesota River.
Yeah, right.
We got caught one after you caught that blue.
I bet he did. Right next to that blue catfish.
Yes,
That's not
right after.
Jeez, here
Same
we
bait
go.
too.
So it's cool. There's definitely I always notice a little bit different. I don't know why they look different to me. I don't know if it's a color thing or
I feel like
it's
they
like a
look darker,
shape
don't they?
thing.
Yeah, they
No,
look
it's like
lighter, don't they?
I don't know. It's weird. When
They're
I see a
lighter?
Xander, I know it's a
Oh.
Xander, but I can't
Mhm.
describe
I feel like
why
they're-
they look different. I mean, besides the white tip on the tail. I mean, walleyes have a lot of like golds and stuff when they getting certain lakes. I don't know how Xander are in Europe, but I don't know. They're sweet. I'd love to see them experiment with them in Minnesota, but what would happen if they did that in Minnesota? Everyone would take them out and put them in different lakes that they want them in, and then
Yeah.
it would be
That could be a mess.
That's already happened in North Dakota.
So were they hoping for like a hybrid between the walleye and those to happen whenever they did that experiment, or
I did read something about how that works, and I don't believe, and this you can't quote me on it all, but I don't believe that there's a possibility
I don't
of
even
something
know
like
if there
that
is or not, but
I think you're right.
happening. Right, because of and I don't know the biology behind it. There's just a reason why that can't happen. So you can't like have a hybrid. But I mean, I don't know completely on that subject. I just read a little bit on it.
So they were introduced to that lake, right?
They were
And,
introduced.
and they self-reproduced.
They're reproducing. Oh yeah, they're
Oh, yeah?
reproducing like crazy.
Yep.
They're doing really well.
So they're not
Yep.
like a trout that they stock and they just
No,
slowly
they're very
reproduce.
fertile in there, and they're reproducing. I mean, yeah, like guys fish them in the winter, just like walleye. Like he said, I mean, you're walleye fishing when you're Xander fishing.
do they taste the same, Ben?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, absolutely. Just like any other fish, though. I mean,
That's how it's
eating
cooked.
fish or Xander out of a lake from Europe versus eating, walleye out of a lake from Minnesota. You've got it's different. It is a little bit different. I mean, is the consistency of the meat just about the same? Yes, absolutely.
Wait, what's the difference? Just
The
out of
difference-
curiosity. Yeah, like
like the
one
consistency of
from
the
Europe
meat?
and one from Minnesota.
Well, I mean, during the summer, it could be, the meat's a little more mushier, that sort of thing. They still have the same thing over there. Ice fishing, it's a little more firm. People prefer, maybe eating the fish. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same. I mean, if you go to a different country, like for instance, Kazakhstan, where there might be a lake that's a little bit more polluted than the other, or Russia or something like that, then the meat's going to be different. You're not going to want to eat it out of there, that sort of thing. So it's kind of all relative. If you go to a nice, crystal clear lake and eat zander, take a zander out, go ahead and, eat, process it and eat it. It's going to be just like, eating, a walleye out of a lake from here. So there really just isn't much. Some people, though, do say that the zander does fight a little differently. But then again, that's, maybe just, how they perceive it, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Did you fish Kazakhstan?
I did. Yep, I fished in Kazakhstan.
Very nice.
What all countries have you fished?
Oh boy,
I know you said
Not
over
including-
11 in tournaments, so
yeah. So I've fished in Mexico quite a few times. I have fished in Costa Rica. I fished in Panama, Kazakhstan, Russia, Bulgaria.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how that happened? Like, how did you come from here and end up doing that?
End up doing all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good question. I serve on the board of directors as a member for the United States Angling Confederation, and the United States Angling Confederation is the United States' only federation. It's a confederation, actually, but the only confederation, the only organization that represents fishing at a world level. And maybe one day, hopefully, cross our fingers, an Olympic level. So what the United States Angling Confederation does is, we have our members that are in charge of certain things. What I do within the organization is I'm a program director for the USA Predator fishing team, which is zander or walleye or pike. It just depends what country we're going to and the species they select. I am an angler on the USA Ice team, and I am also the saltwater director. So I put together teams, whether it's shore fishing, whether it's big game, which is what you guys are familiar with for offshore, rooster fish, which is your typical inshore. We have championships for that. So I put together teams, and we go and compete at Pan American events and world championships. So
That's crazy.
yeah, it's just one of those things where, one thing leads to another. If you're passionate about something that you're doing, and you're putting yourself out there, and you are offered opportunities, and I was offered an opportunity to be part of this amazing organization, and I took that opportunity and ran with it. And the organization's been just amazing at allowing me to go ahead and run with being able to put together these teams. And they're not just putting together teams, we're putting together the best anglers from the United States. And it's just been an amazing adventure. And our most popular team is our USA Bass team, and we've got a world championship here in the United States, and that is Lake Murray, South Carolina. I believe that's November 1st through 7th. So, but of this year. So, but we've got the best of the best bass anglers on that team. Scott Martin, David Dudley, Jacob Wheeler. So, as an organization, we go out and seek these people, and and tell them what we're all about, what we're doing, and what this is working towards. And the ultimate goal, not just the United States Angling Confederation, but other federations around the world, we're all working toward an initiative of allowing the sport of fishing to be recognized as an Olympic sport. It's a huge goal. There's a lot involved with it, but I firmly believe that the United States Angling Confederation is leading the way. Our members are amazing at what they do. They're top of the line. We can put together a team. We know what we're doing. And, we go and we compete hard. We represent the United States. And it's just an amazing thing. We're constantly, though, we're growing, just like any organization, we're constantly growing, and we're constantly creating new teams. Like, for instance, we're headed to the Netherlands, Amsterdam. I think it's October.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, and we're headed to the World Championship street fishing.
What?
And so
What does that mean?
Street fishing.
Is that gang against gang, or?
Yeah, what is that?
Fish-
So it's a new event. That it's street fishing is extremely popular in Europe. For instance, you think of Italy or you think of Amsterdam, and you hear people talking about the canals. Well, these canals are old shipping canals. They used in the past for bringing freight up and down the river in order to get from their waterways inland. And so these canals are full of fish. So it's really easy for these people, of these countries to go out, grab a pole, grab their tricycle or their bike, however they get around town, and fish in these canals for zander, perch, goby, just a tons of different species in these canals. So because it is such a popular sport over there, the organization that governs creating those sports created a street fishing world championship. So the United States has put together a team in order to compete at the world championship over there. And so I've been tasked with that. And so, so that's where we're headed. And like I said, in October, to go over there and see what we can do. So it's going to be interesting. It's, like I said, it's a new sport. But what I've been saying before is we can constantly create new sports. We're constantly creating new teams to put together to compete at these world championships. And, that, allows us that, when I'm tasked with something like that, I'm looking for anglers all over the United States that think that, that feel that, they have that competitive edge, that, world championship fight in them. And when I put together a team, one of the hardest things that I have to do is try to seek out anglers for instance, big game. It might not be so hard to find somebody who fishes marlin, but it's not just marlin that we're fishing. It could be, depending upon what part of the country, it could be marlin and, goby, and it could be, 3 or 4 different species. So it's not so easy to find somebody who's, versatile in all those types of species. So, that's why this podcast and, what I do, reaching out, and doing a bunch of different, social media things in order to try to get, people interested, get people engaged, and let them know that, all they have to do is reach out to the United States Angling Confederation or to me in general through social media. And just, find out how they can get involved, how they can get engaged. We're always coming up with, new world championship teams. And even the old ones that are established, for instance, like the USA Ice team, we hold tryouts every year. And, exposure is one of our biggest things that we don't get a lot of because we're working on it. We're working on trying to get exposure across the United States. And so, so getting people to these events is a little bit, it's somewhat difficult. So, but of course we want as many people to try out as we can. And sometimes people think that, wow, this is, a world championship event. I'm going to be traveling, like next year, I'll be traveling to Estonia. And, people are going to be like, wow, that's just mind blowing. I can't do that. Yeah, I can go out on my lake. I can fish the North American Ice Fishing Circuit. I can fish, my local tournament, and but I can't do that. But
You
that's
guys are
kind
on
of why I'm here
rats too, right?
You can do that. That's the thing, is that anybody can try out for these teams. Anybody can make these teams. Anybody can be on these teams.
Here's the thing.
The biggest thing is if you got that competitive advantage in you, and you think that, hey, I could be cut out for this. That's where I recommend absolutely reaching out to the United States Angling Confederation and being a part of what we do. There's so many ways to be a part of the United States Angling Confederation and any one of these teams. Whether it is an angler, whether it's being a steward, or whether it's being on being a part of our world championship events that we hold here in the United States. There's just so much involved with it, and we're looking for help left and right. And so we welcome
Might be
anybody.
fun.
to help us.
Well, it sounds like I was going to bring this up earlier when you were talking. It's take an opportunity when you have it. Kind of got to be a yes.
Definitely.
You kind of got to be a yes man. I mean, you can sit around and talk about it all day long, and that's with
Mhm.
even like trips I go on. So I travel all over North America and fish, and everyone's like, "How do you have time to do it?" I was like, "Well, I have just as much time as anyone else. I'm just a yes man." When someone says, "You want to come to British Columbia and fish white sturgeon?" I say yes. I don't say, "Oh, I'd love to go there one day." And people always say, "I want to go there one day." I said, "Just go there then." I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. I mean, if you can afford it. I mean, obviously some trips are expensive, but being a yes man, it sounds like you're a yes man. And I like that about you. I don't know you very well, but I like that about you. You sound like a yes man.
Well,
And
it,
also-
it involves fishing, so there's
Right.
usually mostly always a yes involved in it. And
And I want to mention, if you ever get a team for here's the trio. This is it. This is catfish, sturgeon, and alligator gar. If you ever get one of those teams,
I'm there.
hit me up.
Well, sturgeon might be, that might be a thing in the near future.
that'd be so cool.
There's huge sturgeon in Northern Europe, as you
Yeah.
guys know. And,
Yeah.
so it could be a thing, but that might be more towards a species they may add to a predator world championship event. So, not make a specific sturgeon event like they do for bass, but in the future, yeah, it very well could happen. And, the whole sport across the world is growing. And it seems like every month there's something new popping up, a new world championship or, a new Pan American championship event that is, that we, support and send teams to. So
Right.
it's a growing sport. It's a growing industry, growing organization, and anybody can be a part of it just by reaching out. It's pretty neat, and this is the time to do it. And this is what really makes it pretty exciting at the moment.
Screw it, sign me up.
Right?
I just need like a couple years of mentorship still.
Nah, just send it.
We got a comment from Paul Gizzoni, and he says, "Hey Ben, I'd like to hear more about a couple things. How's the sheets of ice are chosen for the World Championships? 2, tryouts, and 3, the challenges related to fishing without electronics."
Yep,
Good question.
because they use palm
Can of
rods and
worms.
no electronics.
Awesome.
Wait, what?
Well, thanks, Paul, for the question. So for the World Championships, there's for ice fishing, there are zones. So each country picks their own lake, and they pick their own zones, and there's 5 zones. And so there's 5 anglers from each country. And so since there's 5 zones, 5 anglers, 1 angler from USA is in one zone, 1 angler from Russia is in that same zone, and then so on and so forth all the way down to zone 5. And the countries actually, they get to pick their own zones. So, but the really neat thing about it is that because of the rules, the zones in that lake, not the lake entirely, not right away, but it's all closed off. It's closed off to the competitors from that country, and it's closed off to any other competitors from any other country that want to come and pre-fish it. And it's typically closed off 2 weeks ahead of time. So you don't, nobody's allowed to pre-fish for at least 2 weeks. So, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of when you get into those zones, you are trying to figure it out right away. Obviously World Championships for ice fishing, there is no electronics. There is no power. Yeah, there's no power anything.
You're
get the
using
hand
palm rods, aren't you? Yeah,
We
with
are.
sand augers and
yes.
remember
Hand
the one year,
augers?
the one year
Yeah.
that I followed you guys,
Why?
it was super, super slushy. Like I followed you guys really close. I just remember seeing you guys going through like 1.5 feet. I don't even know. It was just an insane amount of slush.
Why?
Like
And
wading
it's-
through it.
Yeah, Kazakhstan pops out as well. Bulgaria was the worst for slush. That was really bad. That was up, past your knees. And you had
That
to
was,
fish.
I think, the video that I remember seeing, like where
Could be.
you guys are walking through it. Like, yeah, it was just a
Yeah,
trail.
Kazakhstan was 4 feet of ice, so you had to auger through 4 feet. And the crazy thing about it is that you get 3 hours to fish. And if there's no fish, you drill one hole through 4 feet and there's no fish down there after a minute or two,
Sucks.
you're moving. It sucks. Yeah, it can suck. It can suck. But then there's other countries in other years like Ukraine where there's 2 inches of ice. So then it's a lot easier, obviously. But,
Chewy's out. He's out.
As soon as you hit 2 inches, I stop listening.
Right. Yeah, they try not to, hold it on that thin of ice. It's just a safety issue. Usually they'll move it, to a different lake that's, got thicker ice, more,
4
further north
inches.
of the country. But
What's the rationale behind that? Like, why no power? I have to know. Sorry.
because
Just
they
old school.
they feel that it's old school, it's pure fishing.
Yeah.
So when you're not using your electronics, and going back to Paul's question, you go back to the way fishing was in Europe when, that's what they did for their food. They didn't, 30, 40, 50 years ago, they didn't have electronics. In Europe, a lot of times they fish for their food. So these little teeny fish that are caught in some of these lakes, they catch a ton of them and they bring them home and they make their dishes out of them. And that's what they eat. And so that's kind of the idea behind our Ice Fishing World Championships is you go back to the basics.
Yeah.
No electronics, no power, anything. And another big thing behind it is that, fishing is a physical sport. And this allows, this shows and demonstrates and showcases how much, how strong you need to be, how much your knowledge needs to be of the water column, of the lake, of the information you gather. You don't see those fish down there with electronics. So you got to know how to not just locate those fish and attract those fish, but have to know how to catch those fish fast. And it all goes back to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago when they needed to catch fish for dinner, for their food to eat. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. Last year, my North American Ice Fishing Circuit tournament partner, we, out of 3 events that we fished, the 2 events that we took first place in, we didn't use electronics. We didn't use cameras. We didn't use flashers. We didn't use live scope. We had them all but we didn't use them. And sometimes when you go back to basics, and you guys have talked about this before in the past, when you go back to basics, you always start with basics. When it comes to sports, it doesn't matter if it's hockey or baseball, you always have to remember your basics. And when it comes to tournament fishing and you've got a certain amount of time to catch fish and you're under pressure, it is always imperative to remember you need to go back to your basics. If things aren't working, go back to your basics, start there and progress from there. And that really is, especially in ice fishing, especially with the North American Ice Fishing Circuit, that really is what allowed us, a team of the year last year, was because we went back to our basics. We got rid of the electronics. We were fishing shallow water. We didn't have that weighing down. We had the experience of the USA Ice Team and what we've done overseas because we were forced not to use electronics. And it worked out, it worked out. But it's all about basics. It really is. And, for the USA Predator team, we use electronics there. So, and the bass team and, and our saltwater events, we all, except for shore fishing, obviously, or street fishing, we can't use electronics there because this kind of doesn't work that way. But, so we do use electronics there, but ice fishing, we don't. But the format for ice fishing is so fun doing that. I suggest anybody who's interested, or how about this? Anybody who is curious of how this works or what the heck we're doing out there, come to a tryout, a USA Ice Team tryout. They're always held usually in the first or second week of March, usually sometimes in Wisconsin. Most of the time it's been in Wisconsin and out in Rhinelander. And, it's usually 2 or 3 days event. There's different heats throughout each day, but it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy awesome to see exactly how this works and why it works and what it does. And, when we're holding these trouts on these lakes out in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, the cool thing is, you get people that are snowshoeing across the lake that time of year, or snowmobilers, or even locals that have houses on that lake. They'll come out and they'll watch, they'll ask what we're doing. And it's really super neat stuff. But if you look at the North American ice fishing circuit and you look at your top anglers, your top competitive anglers, the top 6, 7, or 8 anglers all have had some connection with the USA ice fishing team at one point in time. And there's a reason because of that. It's because of the skill and the training and learning that you get that, through world competition, that, you have to catch fish. You're forced to catch fish without electronics. And they bring that from that event into their tournament series. And, it allows them to be not just better fishermen at the basics, but better fishermen all around. Learning to, fight harder. A gentleman, Chad Schaub and Anthony Rodriguez, are top fishermen here in the United States. I mean, amazing guys. And they have a will and a fight in them that doesn't give up for 5 hours straight. And, that's kind of the burning, in your belly that you need in order to be competitive anywhere, whether it is Predator, whether it is North American Ice Fishing Circuit, AIM, WMT, doesn't matter where, FLW, well, not FLW anymore, but, in bass fishing, anywhere, saltwater, if you want to fish competitively, that's the kind of fire that you need to have, that you need to feel. And being a part of, the organization, being a part of these teams, not just necessarily being an angler on them, but being, even being a steward, being involved in what we do one way or another will make you a better fisherman just by being there and observing, getting a chance to talk to people like Scott Martin, David Dudley, James Watson, and, and top anglers like that. It gives you access to be able to, have, these conversations and see what they do. Walleye side, Max Wilson, John Hoyer, John, lives in Minnesota. He lives in Minnetonka, huge predator, huge muskie guy. And just coming to these events, being involved, the exposure you get is huge. And not to mention, it's a lot of fun. And there are, there are things, that sometimes don't allow people to attend some of these events. For instance, if you are an angler, we are self-funded at the moment. The United States Angling Confederation, is always striving for sponsorship. But the biggest thing is getting what we do and trying to get, our initiatives and trying to get everything that, we're involved in out there into the community it's not so easy. So, we try the best that we can do, and it eventually progresses along, but eventually, we'll start getting, some sponsorships and some things where, people are able to, not have to worry about self-funding themselves when they go on, these trips. But, and hopefully that's in the near future. So there is a little bit of a hang up when it comes to that. But, like I said, if anybody needs any more information on any of this or what we're doing or want to check it out or just have a question, they're welcome to contact US Angling Confederation on our website at usangling.org, or they can contact me in general. You can just Google search Ben Blegen fishing and pretty much everything pops up. Or email address at b and then Blegen at usangling.org, or just go to the website, contact any one of those gentlemen on our board of directors, and they'll point you in the right direction or answer your question. They're a bunch of amazing guys and, full of knowledge, and, they're just as excited as I am about what we're doing here, and they'd love to help anybody out, and direct anybody to wherever they may fit best in our organization.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That is. It's really cool. It's a lot.
You have any trips planned anytime soon? Open water stuff?
Yeah. So, I have Italy coming up in September. That is the World Big Game Championship. And so, like I mentioned before, you guys are familiar with what's called offshore fishing for saltwater. So that's what big game is. That's your offshore. That's your, bigger species, your tuna, marlin, sailfish, all that. And so I have that in Italy in September, and that is on the east side of Italy, Adriatic, in the Adriatic Sea. So that's kind of interesting. I've never fished that.
And you also work for an organization out in Italy, right?
Yeah. So just recently, I was selected as a member for the organization is called SIPS, and that's an acronym for, I had to write it down, sorry, Confederation International de la Pesca Sportive. And what I do within that organization is I'm on the athletes committee. So I go around to world championship events. So this is in addition to what I do for the United States Angling Confederation. Go around to world championship events, and I gather information from the anglers from each country's federations. And I talk to them about, I let them know about anti-doping policies, because all the world championship events follow International Olympic Committee guidelines and rules. So we've got, one of them is anti-doping. You can't, be doing that. So it's against our rules. So what I do is I talk to other anglers around the world, find out their concerns, anything that they may have, like rule changes, any suggestions, talk to federations, find out what their concerns are within the fishing sport within the SIPS organization. And I'll explain that really quick in just a moment. And then we do reports, and then we suggest rule changes and report back to that organization. So SIPS, and that's based off of it, but SIPS, what that is and the easiest and kind of the quickest way I can explain it, and I know if anybody's watching from the United States Angling Confederation, they're going to go, well, there's a little bit more to it, and there is, but for simplicity purposes, you have the IOC up on top, and then the IOC talks to SIPS, and what SIPS does is that they manage, and this is the basic, most simplest way I can explain it, they manage the federations. So each country has a fishing federation. USAC, United States Angling Confederation, is ours here in the United States. Italy has one. Every country has one. There's actually 115 member nations, so 115 different, 115 different types, different federations that they manage. And so what they do is they not only just manage those, but underneath the SIPS organization, they have 3 different categories. They have your freshwater disciplines, and there's 13 freshwater disciplines. So you're looking at black bass, you're looking at kayak events, you're looking at street fishing, predator, things like that. So you got your freshwater is one, and then you've got your saltwater, and then which is obviously all your saltwater, shore fishing and surf casting and all that stuff, and then you have your fly fishing. So SIPS manages those 3 along with the federations. And then what happens is that, so you got the IOC, you got SIPS, and then you got the countries' federations. And then those federations manage their teams that compete at the world level. So that's kind of the simplest way I can put it without talking too much about it. There's other things like Sport Accord that's involved. These are different organizations within the world fishing community that are all intertwined, but it's pretty complicated and nobody really wants to know about that stuff. So it's more administrative. It's more administrative than it is anything at that point. But,
so like with your guys' policies in it, so is that just to keep that in line, so whenever you do get into the Olympics eventually, everything's already just set in place where, you know what I mean, as far as rules and all that?
Once fishing, achieves Olympic recognition, yes, that is what SIPS does. They, set all the rules. They set, all the anti-doping guidelines. They set everything. So it's not once we get into the Olympics. What it is we are operating underneath IOC guidelines already. So, and kind of to what you're saying is, yes, once fishing accepted as a sport, it gets recognized as a sport, then yes, everybody's ready to go. The world is ready to go. So, awesome. And hopefully it would be awesome if it happens soon. But there are guidelines, there are initiatives that have to be met. One of the neatest things is that we did at the United States Angling Confederation is created the Pan American Sport Fishing Federation, which I'm a board of directors member of too as well, and that encompasses
Another one.
a lot going on. The guys at the organization are like, wow, you got way too much on your plate, but I love doing it. Love doing it. But anyhow, so that was created along with Mexico and Mexico is actually really leading that organization. And so what's really neat is it encompasses those Pan American countries, like for instance, Panama and Colombia and Brazil, that normally wouldn't be able to field a team or put together an organization. It allows those countries to start forming an organization and compete at a world type level. And so as the as the United States Angling Confederation, we put together teams that compete in the Pan American Sport Fishing Federation Championships. So I do a lot of traveling to Mexico, Costa Rica. If you ever wonder what my favorite country is to travel to out of the whole world, it's Costa Rica. I've been there.
I was kind of wondering that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever been there or not, but if you haven't, go.
What is your favorite fish to target in what country and what season?
That is an awesome question. I'm gonna have to.
Oh, no.
It's always the
too
hardest
many
question.
to choose
Ben.
from.
It's always the hardest.
Gosh,
He's got too many to choose from, though.
I'm rolling through every species, saltwater, freshwater. It's just what I can say is I'm glad I don't walleye fish 24/7 every day of the year. Somebody like Max Wilson would be like, "Wow, you are nuts! You're crazy guy," because that's all he does. He loves it. That's his thing. But he's our actually I bring up Max Wilson. He's our captain for our USA Predator team. So if anybody of you know Max, great guy. Does a phenomenal job. But anyhow, walleye fisherman and I'm glad I don't have to fish one species every day for a whole year. I mean, I can go fish, marlin, and then I can switch it up and go fish.
Hold on. Hold on. This isn't politics. You're giving us one fish. One fish.
We're making it hard.
I'm cutting you
We're
off.
making
I had
it
to
hard.
cut you off. One fish and where?
In the past year.
No.
Past year.
What? It
Okay.
makes it
Well,
easier sometimes.
No,
Well,
he's
that-
His experience, I really want to know.
I just want to know the
I'm
one.
super
fish.
curious.
It's obviously
about
having a hard time.
Yeah.
It's hard. I'm gonna have to decide between. I would say,
I want to guess.
there's some fish that fight different, and sometimes you're just up for the fight.
I want to guess one.
Hey man, it
I
can be
want
like a sunfish with your kid. We're not judging you.
I want to guess roosters up at the top for him.
You know what? I was just gonna say it's between peacock bass and rooster.
Yeah.
It really is. I would probably pick rooster fish off the coast of Costa Rica because they're huge there. They're a lot of fun, and that's if you want to go rooster fish fishing, that's where you go is off the coast of Costa Rica.
That's my next big trip.
What about in the States?
In the States, oh boy.
We're probably boring now.
Probably double
guess-
break
I guess
with
the
his buddy when he doesn't have to
Right.
do anything.
I guess the
Just get
popular
jug
the popular
around on
answer-
Devil's Lake, catching big fish. That sounds good.
I guess the popular answer would probably be catfish, but
Hey.
um,
Not
No,
what happened
I-
was
you
on the
know,
table.
gosh, you start experiencing some of these other fish. It's crazy. In the United States, I would probably say sturgeon, lake sturgeon.
Hey.
I think I'm gonna go with that.
That's
I do a
one
tournament
fish
every
I've
year.
Never fought.
What's
Good
that?
fish.
I said that's one
Yeah.
fish I've never fought, and I think it would
Oh
be
my
a lot of
gosh,
fun. Yep.
they got a sturgeon tournament up at the mouth of the Rainy River every year at a Sportsman's Lodge. And if you've never fished sturgeon, I'd recommend, that would be a great way to get into it. A lot of people
I've
up there
heard
just have a lot of
Rainey's.
fun during this tournament. It's
Yeah,
it's an amazing tournament. You catch sturgeon, because they're coming back from the spawn at that time when they have the tournament. And there's a little area there on the river that you can do an amazing job at catching them. And it's a lot of fun. And man, they fight. You can put up a half an hour, hour and a half fight with these fish, and they get huge. And I don't think I sent over any sturgeon pics, but I got quite a few, and it's just an amazing fish. And when you actually get it in the boat and you put it in your arms and you're looking at this dinosaur, it's something
old.
amazing. It
The
just
best.
it blows you away. It really does. It's a lot of fun. So
Yeah, there's a big tournament on the St. Croix too.
is it? Yeah. Yep. There is. Yep.
Monsters on the Croix.
Right. I was just gonna say. I think it's called Monsters on the Croix. But yep.
It is,
Exactly.
Have you ever fished that one?
No, I have not fished that one. Usually, by the time that one's going on, I'm doing something else. So
He's in Italy or something.
Have you caught white sturgeon yet?
What? I'm sorry.
Have you caught white sturgeon yet?
No, I have not caught white sturgeon
Yeah,
yet.
your favorite will change to white sturgeon once you do it. So
Oh, I'm sure. I've heard a lot. I've heard about them, but I haven't had an opportunity. And I don't get a lot of recreational fishing in. It's if I'm gonna go recreational fishing, like we're from Minnesota. If I'm gonna go up to Mille Lacs, I only live 20 minutes from Mille Lacs, and
right.
if I'm gonna go up there, I'm gonna take a 4-hour trip out to North Dakota, or I'm and pre-fish a lake out there for an AIM event, or the North American ice fishing circuit. I'm gonna go pre-fish for a national championship, and do something like that, and head out there instead of I'd love to go beat up on some fish on a local lake, and maybe someday I'll find some time to do it when this tournament fishing slows down, or
Kind of going back to your basics, so you got to every once in a while.
I keep trying to tell myself that, yeah, but it just seems it just seems like I always have something else coming up where an event or studying for a lake overseas, trying to study canals and that sort of stuff. It's just it fills in my day, and but I'm not complaining about it. Not complaining one bit. It's amazing
Now,
stuff.
in 2019, you won the gold medal for the for Team USA, the World Black Bass Championship in Mexico. Have you guys been back after that?
No, we haven't. That was amazing event. Boy, there's so many stories with that. I actually was a reserve angler. I got to fish on David Fritz's boat for 2 days, so that was pretty amazing. Like I say time and time again, these guys are just amazing people, and you can name drop all you want. It doesn't matter. I've met a lot of people in the industry, and they are just so they're so warm and just so inviting,
They're
and
humble.
so personable and helpful. And I mean, and you fathom yourself, picture yourself jumping on Scott Martin's boat. Like you just can't, or David Fritz's boat, or Charlie Evans's boat. You just can't picture yourself, oh, hey, I'm just going to walk on the boat and go fishing. That's the thing, though. I mean, these people are so awesome that you walk up to them, you start a conversation, and they invite you on their boat. When I had the opportunity to fish on David Fritz's boat for the pre-fishing, it was just, such a great guy, and just like, hey, yeah, here's, here's this, here, let's do this, let's do that. And it was pretty cool because we had an opportunity to fish a rock pile on that lake in Cuchillo, and we pulled Dave pulled a really huge fish off there, and I pulled a fish off the side of that rock pile. We got out of there, and it was a rock pile that I believe Scott Martin and Scott Canterbury went to, I think both days, but I'm not sure, and did real well off that in order to earn Team USA a gold medal. So it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat stuff.
It's awesome. I'm going to go through some pictures here, Ben, if you want to describe them here real quick.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Quickly.
Oh.
We don't have a lot of time left.
Oh, I
That's
blinked.
Let's see.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, okay. There we go. What am I doing there? I don't know what
Russia?
I'm doing there.
What am
Where
I
are you
doing?
at?
That's
there?
Russia?
I don't know.
It
looks
I
like
don't-
are you fishing for bait?
Yeah. Well, I got some perch there. I'm not sure what I'm doing exactly. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what country. Sometimes these pictures go, I need background, and I don't.
It all blurs together.
It's a very nice picture, though.
There we
Ben.
go.
Very nice.
There you go. Next one.
All right, there we go. There's roosterfish. There's a
Rooster.
roosterfish off of Costa Rica. That was
Sweet.
during a
Cool
Pan
looking.
American tournament. That was Cuchillo. That was Cuchillo. That was
Is that a black bass?
Yeah.
Yes, out of Cuchillo. Yep.
Now, just in case my friend Jay is listening, do you drop shot at all?
When I fish for bass, it's lake specific. It's whether it's large or smallmouth, it's species specific. So whether I'm particularly better at one or another, no, not necessarily always drop shot. I like cranking for bass.
Thank you.
Drop shot. Any other,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So what you're saying, Ben, is you wouldn't drop shot.
Thank you, Ben. You hear that, Jay? Nobody drop shots.
I'm drop shotting too, Dan.
Here I'm at I'm out in New York, and I am leading a clinic at a sports show. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching kids kind of the basics behind ice fishing. So representing the United States ice fishing team, and it was for their one of their outdoor shows. So it's and it's kind of neat. They got a pool set up down there, so that's pretty cool. I'm out in New York actually, and that I was fun fishing. That wasn't. I just happened to be wearing our jersey. That I actually wore that jersey.
All right.
Yeah. Good
Fun
for you,
fishing.
buddy.
Yeah.
Check out this ring.
This is amazing. This is a pretty cool story. That right there on the fender is a bullet hole, and
What?
little moment of a
recognize
backstory. Yeah, a little moment of a backstory. We for that Cuchillo event, that World Championship in Mexico, all the anglers we actually staged in Texas, and we drove the boats, the trucks across the border down to Lake Cuchillo because flying just really is an option. And the guys, they decided that the boats were important. The electronics, familiarity. So we drove 2.5 hours through Mexico, and that was pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie, it was.
Yep, I went to Boquilla, and I think around that same time, 2020, we went to Boquilla or Chihuahua. You saw a lot of those federals out there.
Yeah, and so one of the neat things about it was we actually had a police escort. So we had we had 2 vehicles in front of us with 3 people in each vehicle and 1 vehicle behind us with 3 people. And a little quick story. I leaned forward. I'm in one of the I'm in with the other program director and team manager and the media van, and I leaned forward to our handler and I asked him. I said, "How does this work? I mean, we're going through these areas. Do the coyotes, do they know we're here? Does the cartel know we're here?"
Oh,
he turns around and looks at me and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Absolutely." I'm thinking to myself, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "What?" And he said, "Oh, go ahead."
I just want to tell you, how do you think you're safe?
Yeah,
because the cartel knew you were there.
So that's what he was.
I guarantee you.
So that's what he told me was that they let them, and I don't know if it was him personally, but he kind of sounded like it was him personally, let the cartel know that we were coming through. And it was because of the respect of them knowing that we didn't have any issues passing through. So it made sense. But I'll never forget that story when he said, "No, yeah, absolutely."
Dang, you ain't in Malacca no more.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to do a photo dump. I could have dumped 1,000 photos, and there's some crazy stuff on that trip. That's awesome. But you know what? It's all about the experience. And let me tell you, everybody's great. The police were great. It was just amazing. This is in where the heck were we? South Africa. I forgot that country.
Cool.
I was going to say Chaska.
Chaska?
I swear to God, I saw that banner right there.
Oh.
No, we've got Jack Dice here, and then Sean Hennings, and and this is the certificate that you get when you place gold, silver, or bronze at a world championship. And so up here to the right is the medal, and particularly this is gold, and that's the certificate you get to verify.
Wow.
That's super
Whoa.
cool.
This year, we are getting ready to do some offshore. This is a Pan American Championship. To the left, if you're familiar with, bait boats, World Championships, and not all of them, but some of them in Pan American Championships. And sometimes you go to a bait boat to get your frozen bait, and sometimes, depending upon how they set up the tournament, you have to go catch your bait. So in this particular tournament, it's the boats. There's a bunch of boats behind us, a ton of them behind us, that are pulling up to the bait boat to go get some cut bait for the species of fish that we were fishing.
Wow.
That's definitely
Yeah.
interesting.
Max Wilson, he's our captain for our Predator team. And this whole picture here just kind of encompasses, how amazing it is, and the how serious it is, what we're doing out there and how we're representing the United States. And it's an amazing thing, and none of that is lost on Max. Max, encompasses and embraces it all, and just has an amazing time, and real great leader. And so it was a great picture to send. South Africa again. This is the
That's awesome.
gas team that we sent to South Africa. So, and then we sent one other team, a Predator team too as well, but they fish in a different part of South Africa.
Huh.
There you go.
USA Ice Team. What country is this in? I don't see. I'm not specifically sure what country this is in. I forget. There's just a lot, and it's snowing. What's in the middle is bloodworms. So if anybody's familiar with bloodworms, we got them here in the lakes here in the United States. But over there, that's what they use for what's called hook bait. And if you know how small a bloodworm is, you have to put that on a hook. And that's what their fish eat there. Our fish here, worms, whatever, they're bloodworms.
I saw a video once from Europe, and they use like this little clip, like an alligator clip on the hook to grab them.
That's why they run them little palm rods in? Or,
tiny fish.
Right. Yeah. The palm rods are, when we can get into that, sometimes different, but that's a pretty neat mechanism or tool to use to catch.
They're
extremely
crazy.
finicky fish. That's all I use at the North American ice fishing circuit. Me and my partner are specific palm rod people. That's all we use. Here I'm doing a seminar up in Duluth, Minnesota, for their show a couple years ago. So it was pretty neat.
It's pretty awesome.
It
Oh,
is.
wow.
I sent a lot more, but I couldn't download all of them.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just dumped a bunch and picked whatever. So
No, but
That's
this
so
is great.
interesting.
We'll have to get you on
We
again.
have to bring him
in the-
back.
in
Yeah,
the
maybe
winter, towards winter.
You
towards
gotta
winter, 'cause
come
I'm
in
pretty sure-
house this winter.
that'd be
nice if you
Ice
could come
fish
in-house.
afterwards.
yeah, it would be.
Go
I
ahead,
think
Ed.
it would be a lot better if I could come in house. I'd enjoy that. That'd be awesome. And maybe I can bring in some things and kind of show you some really neat stuff about ice fishing. It'll be closer, and there's just some really cool stuff. And then we can dive a little bit deeper into maybe some tips and tricks and some things in order to get finicky fish to bite all day. And just how to get things to work. And I've been fishing the North American ice fishing circuit since 08 or 09. And so it's about time that I feel that I've accomplished a lot in that circuit. And so maybe it's about time that, I kind of just, kind of throw some of that stuff out there and,
Easy,
try to,
Ben, easy.
get everybody else to do it.
Well, I think we're gonna come to a close here in a second,
Yeah.
but if people want to get involved in what you're involved in, what's the best way to reach out?
The best way to reach out is direct your web browser to www. Does anybody say that anymore? I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I do. I'm old school. I'm AOL.
Yeah, AOL. Holy crap.
Yeah, dang.
US. Just go to US Angling. So usangling.org and click, find the about page and click on any one of those. We have emails there. You can click on any member to get information. Just send us an email. Otherwise, if you want to, you can reach out to me directly through Facebook, through social media. I really don't do a whole lot of Instagram or any of that, but through Facebook or email me at B and then my last name Blegen at usangling.org, or just Google my name and everything pops up. So it's amazing. But yeah,
Funny
so
'cause
that's
it's pretty funny because if you Google Dan Olson's name, the only thing that pops out is Lisa's place.
Right.
Don't talk about
That's
my
the bar
girlfriend
across
like
the
that.
street.
He's got his name on a plaque on the wall there. So.
Right.
Ben,
I'm working on it, Ben.
Yeah,
It's not happening.
we appreciate your time. I know that Scotty was really excited to have you on. He's been talking about just his
Yep.
winter time, actually.
Weeks.
Yeah.
I
great.
think
I'm
were
glad he
worried
got
about-
through 1/4 of his
We were
page.
worried about technical difficulties bringing you
I'm
on.
more happy that we got him to talk tonight.
So-
So that's good.
yeah, it'd be great if we can bring you back
I
on
talk.
it and you can come
It's
in
not about
to the studio.
catfishing.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate the opportunity for you guys having me on too to just kind of ramble on and what. And one of the biggest things that I really want to get out there is the advancement of the sport. Whether people are watching podcasts, like yours, specifically, or they're out there fishing their clubs, or they're out there fishing in tournaments, or they're out there trying to go watching a fishing event. It's all important and it all advances the sport of fishing. People don't know that and people don't understand that, but at the level that I'm at and what we're doing here for the sport and in the organization, we all understand that every little bit that you do, that anybody watching does in the industry, helps the industry incredibly. One of the biggest things too is we're always looking for sponsorships, not just individuals that want to reach out and be on the team, but sponsorships that companies that want to get their product out there. Companies that want to be involved, companies that really maybe they got a strong passion for predator fishing, walleye fishing, bass fishing, marlin fishing. This is a good way for that exposure for those companies, to get their name out there, not just here in the United States, but worldwide. So we welcome any and everybody to reach out through us on the web or through email. And we love having conversations, so we look forward to it.
So
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, thank you again.
Thank
We
you, man.
appreciate it. And we'll be in
Yeah.
touch. Scott will be in touch with you. And
I'll be picking your brain throughout.
yeah, he'll be picking your brain.
Please
Give
do.
me some time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
we appreciate
Thanks
it, Ben.
again, guys. I appreciate it as
Thank
well, and
you.
look forward to the next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was
Well,
pretty cool, huh?
A lot of
Yeah.
information.
I was way too much information.
I'm slightly inspired though. I guess.
I'm still stuck in Italy,
Like,
bro.
I just
Isn't
don't
that
know.
cool
Like,
that he works for them, man? He's part of the
That's-
board, and
I don't know how he does it. Like,
Really?
I don't know. I
I
just
don't
think about
either.
what I do like day to day, and I have no idea how that guy does all that.
I know.
Yeah, I have a hard time running a YouTube channel and working.
Gosh.
It's
What
I'm
a
rough.
having a hard time getting this podcast to go on time.
Like,
How much this go out in the river and fish?
it's like 50 hours a week.
Speaking
for
of
me
going
at
on the
work.
river and fishing,
Oh.
Get
Dan's
out,
out.
Dan.
Dan's going fishing. We're gonna. I got meeting some friends too. And bye, Dan. Good luck.
Good luck, Dan.
But yeah, we make sure you guys, if you haven't stopped into Old Carver Bait Shop, make sure you come on in here.
His Coors Light in the fridge.
See Luke's nice catfish
Yeah,
on
my
the wall.
my 118-pound blue cat's still on the wall in the bait shop. So whatever you say, Dan. But it's out there for you guys to see. And they got rods stocked right now. They got
He's got a lot of rods.
a lot of stuff in stock right now. I just snagged myself a couple custom stoked swim jigs. So
That's
I'm gonna be pounding those with Tara
Big
this
trip,
weekend
yeah.
for smallmouth. So
Oh, they will work.
We're going
Should be
bass
fun.
fishing.
we're bassing.
Yeah.
A little smallie.
Hopefully she gets a nice one. That she
I
can
hope
get
she-
another. What
Yeah.
is it? The Wham
Master
Master
Angler.
Angler.
She'll get a master angler smallie this weekend. I guarantee you that. Bet.
Ask next week.
Yeah.
Well, we already know.
I
Terry-
will.
We already
okay?
know. We already know Terry ain't gonna go out for the U.S. The national team for ice fishing. As soon as he said no electronics, that means no TikToks.
Hey,
That's it. It's over. It's over for Tara.
I
there.
can unplug, Chewy.
She can unplug.
Look, where can they find you?
You can find me at Fish on Luke on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, also Northwoods Angling. It's mostly how people know who I am from
Yeah.
Northwoods Angling.
And Tara.
Terra Fishing on YouTube and TikTok, mostly TikTok.
Yeah.
And you can find me and Scotty at the Old Carver Fishing Bait Shop and the podcast. We're also on Facebook, and you can look us up. I know I got a lot.
I'm around.
I know I got a lot of friend
We
requests. I'll
hang
get to
out.
them soon. And I think
I-
that's gonna be what's that?
I try and pay attention to my friend requests.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard.
It's hard for me.
sometimes,
It's like
man.
20, 30 a
I
night.
hear you.
If you guys are
Mine's
mutual
not like
friends,
that.
It's hard
I'm
being
okay with
popular,
that.
huh?
Yeah.
Joey?
Mine was like that a long
tough.
time ago. I'm good now.
Yeah. That-
yeah.
Probably really tough, Chewy. Imagine Tara's inbox.
I know, I'm just
I don't
keeping-
even want
I'm keeping quiet over here. It's rough.
All right.
Funny.
So we're gonna get over and get some tacos over at Lisa's place. We're really out there. If anybody wants to join us,
We'll be
probably
over
gone, we'll
there.
probably be gone by the time you get there.
Yep.
But anyhow, thank you for joining us for another episode of Old Carver Fishing, and I hope Dan doesn't catch anything tonight.
Hey!
You have a good one.
See you guys.
Sweating.